Hello, my friend. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I wanted to give a quick sermon summary today, and the topic is on zeal. The scripture reading is from Psalm 69. David is saying that he has a zeal for the Lord's house, and uh, our teacher says that he also has a zeal for the Lord's house, and that when he drove out the money changers, he had a zeal for the temple, for the Lord's house. And of course, we know that we as believers are the temple of God, and that we also should have a zeal for our temple, that we are temples of God's Spirit. And so we should have a zeal to get rid of anything, just like Jesus had a zeal to get rid of these money changers. They were turning what's supposed to be a house of God into just all they cared about was exchanging money, making money, and buying and selling things. And so we as temples of God's Spirit, we should also have a zeal to keep our temple um, available to the Spirit of God as at all times. And if we see anything that is encroaching upon that and taking a priority over God's Spirit, we should try and drive that out with as much zeal as Jesus had for keeping the temple free from the money changers. Does that make sense? So the topic is zeal. Jesus said, "Don't you know that I must be about my Father's house, my Father's temple?" When he was 12 years old, he was always concerned about being in his Father's house and being around the temple. And there's also a scripture in James, which is very interesting, that I want to share with you. And that's James chapter 4, verses 4 to 6, verse 5, I believe, says that the Spirit lusteth to envy the Spirit that is within us. And James is mentioning, he says, "Don't you know that the scripture says this?" Well, there is no scripture that says that. And so if there are ancient scriptures that the first century Christians were aware of that we're not aware of, they get discovered, just like we discovered these, Dead Sea Scrolls and so on. It could come someday that we discover that scripture and say, that's the scripture that James was talking about. Personally, I think that James is a transposition of the words of Christ, but that's a whole different story. But that's what I wanted to share with you today. And also, the topic that was discussed is that there are WMD that was used as weapons of mass destruction. You can also call it weapons of mass distraction, discouragement, and deception. There are so many things that want to distract us, discourage us, and deceive us that we're faced with, we're bombarded with every day from the world, and that can cause our spirits to become confused and distracted, deceived, and so on, and discouraged. And we have to avoid that at all costs and instead ask for more of God's Spirit to indwell us, to indwell our hearts. So on a daily basis, we ask for His kingdom to come. We ask for God's Spirit to dwell in us and to protect us from those things that are so easily distracting and discouraging and deceiving. So I hope that makes sense. Have a zeal for your spirit. Have a zeal for your temple, which is your body, which is a place where God's Spirit dwells. And I hope you're able to do that. I pray that you're able to do that. I know that I want to be able to do that. And I'm going to make another short video and share with you an interesting topic about something that may help strengthen our spirits. So I'm going to do that right after this video. But that's it for today's sermon summary. And I hope that helps you. If you're shut in and you're not able to get out to a church, that you can look up Psalm 69, verses 1 to 9, and James chapter 4, Romans chapter 12, and maybe Isaiah 59, verse 17, right? God says He puts on zeal as a cloak, and those scriptures may help you. Thanks a lot for watching. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.